Stage right now. It's FlippinCoop versus sophtoph. We've seen Soph on the stage already, but here is FlippinCoop running the Lantern, Umbreon, Noctowl, Galarian, Stunfisk, Medicham, and Alolan Ninetales. All very powerful meta and common Pokemon.
Sophtoph with the Trevenant, Obstagoon, Frostlass, Noctowl, Galarian, Stunfisk, and Lantern. We've already taken a first look at Sophtoph's team, like you mentioned, Defy, but I'm really looking at, I guess, the kind of optionality that she has with this team, how she can kind of maneuver around certain situations and try to find win conditions, because we saw the Frostlass be very, very strong for Gucci and in his battles against For the Battles, but it doesn't have the same kind of appeal here.
Yeah, so we will have to see how Soph will position her Pokemon. The unique pick really, I think, is the Obstagoon. We talk about how much the... Oh, we see a quick... There we go. We have the teams updated now. Soph is running the Frostlass, Lickitung, Swampert, Noctowl, Medicham, and Galarian Stunfisk. So we can see that Lickitung pick is really going to be tough if lined up against a Noctowl. Lickitung is known for being bulky, just like that Umbreon is. However, it just doesn't have a good play against other normal types because of its fast move of Lick, which is a ghost type fast move.
I would agree. I think against this team composition in particular, though, against ItsFlippinCoop's team, I think the Lickitung does have a tremendous amount of play. We look at Pokemon like Medicham. Lickitung can really push that matchup down to the wire. Trevenant is a winnable matchup for Lickitung. Against Alolan Ninetales, those body slams really start to chip away. And then we look at Lantern, that super effective Power Whip can provide great coverage. And we've seen Lickitung kind of, I guess, chip away at Galarian Stunfisk as well. So compared to her last opponent, I do think that Sophtoph's Lickitung has way more play here.
Yeah, definitely has some play. It can really, like you said, it can do that fast move pressure against the Trevenant. It has fast move pressure against the Medicham. Lickitung has a lot of interesting play. Really interested to see how the Frostlass goes. I also want to see how ItsFlippinCoop's team, all very standard meta picks, very common to see here in San Diego. I think almost all of them, if not all of them, are on that top 12 graphic that we've referenced a couple times.
Now, looking at ItsFlippinCoop's team, do you think we're going to see some Charm Alolan Ninetales or Powder Snow Alolan Ninetales based on the rest of his composition?
Well, taking a look, it's tough to say because the Powder Snow we've seen already how many times today. Powder Snow seems to be so common. It's such strong ice type damage, but Charm also tends to have a lot of really good neutral play. And even though it was debuffed, doesn't feel like it all the time. Still a very powerful move. It would do really well against opposing dark type Pokemon, like an Umbreon. But there's Medicham for that. So
agreed. Yeah, I think there's a lot of variability there, but our trainers are ready, locked in, and ready to go. Mudkip is smiling at us from the desk, but we're headed down onto the battlefield. We do have our Lantern versus Medicham in the lead.
Yeah, so we are going to see these two trainers stick it out for at least a little while. This is more of that neutral play. Medicham's counter damage is going to start to add up. Lantern can build to these Thunderbolts very, very quickly. Medicham really having that Ice Punch, not going to be doing much of anything, needing to build up to that Psychic.
And as we look at these back lines, we just see how pivotal controlling switch advantage will be in this matchup. If you kind of pencil in these matchups, that Galarian Stunfisk from Sophtoph really wants to find that Alolan Ninetales, a great shield there by ItsFlippinCoop, excuse me. And the Noctowl really wants to find the Trevenant, but ItsFlippinCoop can really flip this script if he gets control of this matchup. Going for the Surf, it does draw away that first Protect Shield.
Yeah, we will have to see which trainer is going to blink first. This is a Psychic, so it is not a bait. So going right for the Psychic, this is going to threaten the Lantern. Lantern hangs on by a thread, is able to get to the Surf. Will Soph preserve her Medicham? This Surf is going to threaten a lot of the Medicham's health and knocks it out.
I thought that was going to be a KO on the Lantern, but no. Down goes the Medicham, in comes Galarian Stunfisk, KO's the Lantern, here comes the Trevenant, reaching for the Noctowl. ItsFlippinCoop has the answer. He comes in with the Charm Alolan Ninetales.
Interesting, taking a look at that Charm. Noctowl building up a lot of energy. It's almost at 2 Sky attacks here.
Now here comes the first Sky Attack. This one will connect. No Protect Shield deployed here, but you have to think that the Alola Ninetales needs to make the most out of this matchup. It needs to take that knockdown out of the sky.
It really does. It is going to deploy a super effective Weather Ball, but it is going to be met with the Stone Cold Protect Shield on the side of sophtoph. Soph has no Protect Shields remaining. Goes to throw a Sky Attack, try to clear the Ninetales out of the way, and will.
The challenge here is pacing. The Alola Ninetales just unable to get to another Weather Ball. Coming in with another Sky Attack here. I think ItsFlippinCoop is forced to shield this one, but the question is, can he defeat the Noctowl and that Galarian Stunfisk in the back, which is almost completely healthy?
Yeah, I just don't think the Trevenant is going to be able to cut it. I just don't see a victory here for the Trevenant. This Seed Bomb is resisted. It's not even going to knock out the Noctowl, and the Noctowl has a Sky Attack ready. Trevenant does get to another Seed Bomb to get rid of the Noctowl.
Coop is staying alive in the matchup here. He does KO the Noctowl. In comes a Galarian Stunfisk, and this Trevenant is just outside the range of one Rock Slide. This is kind of a tough position. sophtoph going straight for the Earthquake. This is slightly more damage.
It does. It is resisted damage, but when you have to throw just one, sometimes you want to throw that resisted Earthquake just to guarantee the knockout. And yeah, Trevenant it wasn't set up for success there.
We've seen sophtoph demonstrate such mastery over the damage of these charge attacks. As Tuo Butters would say, the dimensions of these charge attacks. She knows exactly how much each one of them will do. And this is actually the second time in this tournament we've seen her throw a charge attack that it might not be considered optimal, but still does slightly more damage. Like you pointed out, Expertly Defy, just a little bit more damage is what it takes to secure the knockout.
It is. And again, I just want to recap that very neutral lead-in matchup of Coop's Lantern versus Soph's Medicham. That really is going to depend on which trainer wants to use their shields first, and Soph won that with the Medicham. And ended up winning the game. So having that pivotal lead matchup secured, I think that kind of paved the way for Soph's victory here.
Well, as well, we talk about typings and matchups, and it felt like the Alola Ninetales versus the Noctowl and the Trevenant versus the Galarian Stunfisk were the two keys to success for ItsFlippinCoop, but the Charm Alolan Ninetales, it doesn't hit as hard as it used to due to that season update with the shift of the new Go Battle League season, now doing 1 damage less, and that damage really adds up.
Yeah, why do you think Coop opted for the Charm on the Ninetales instead of Powder Snow?
That's honestly a great question, because you think of Alola Ninetales as a great answer for fighting-type Pokemon, namely Medicham. You have the Noctowl and the Trevenant on your team, which are solid Medicham answers. The Alola Ninetales can be good at taking down Pokemon like Umbreon, and maybe that's where ItsFlippinCoop's mind was at. But no Umbreon to be seen here. sophtoph instead, again, rocking that Lickitung.
Yeah, and again, that is so interesting because we have seen Lickitung kind of slide out of the meta because of the rise of Noctowl and just the terrible matchup. But we have a matchup heading down to the field of battle. Let's go ahead and see how these trainers start off. And there's the Lickitung being met with a Medicham. This is more neutral than you might think.
Yeah, two best buddies on the field, but it looks like Medicham has a slight edge, but a very slight edge at that. Lickitung adding a lot of damage with these licks, and I think going to reach for a body slam pretty soon here, but Medicham reaching first for the Ice Punch. This is not Caleb Ping's Dynamic Punch Medicham, so Lickitung has no reason to shield.
Yeah, Lickitung can definitely tank a lot of hits. You would think, oh, a fighting type against a normal type, no problem for the Medicham. However, because Lickitung is so bulky and has that fast move of Lick, it is able to really have a much more neutral matchup against this fighting and psychic type Pokemon.
Now, we saw these two trainers play out a certain shielding scenario in Game 1, but now sophtoph investing that first Protect Shield here in her Lickitung, looking for the full Lick down. Oh, Lickitung throws the Body Slam at the last moment.
Coop making a decision to shield the Medicham, thinking he can do with 1 or 2 more counters, knock the Lickitung out. It'll take 2 counters. Medicham survives on a sliver of health, winning the lead matchup for Coop and throwing an Ice Punch right before the Medicham is knocked out.
Sophtoph's Frostlass looks calm, cool, and collected just like her as she does get that Powder Snow worth of energy, absorb that resisted Ice Punch, and now she's squared off against a Lantern, switches into the Galarian Stunfisk, and guess what? There's nowhere to go. You have to stay with this Lantern in the matchup.
Yeah, and that Lantern has to watch out for the Earthquake. That Lantern is a fish, but it doesn't want to deal with the tremors of an Earthquake. There we have the Galarian Stunfisk. It is up to the Earthquake. Now we see a swap, tries to make a catch, but this Noctowl is going to be met with a Rock Slide. Super effective damage.
Now, design-wise, Galarian Stunfisk does resemble a bear trap, and it is trying its best to trap this Noctowl under these Rock Slides and put it out of commission. Second Rock Slide does get fired off here. We know that Noctowl can survive 2. It cannot be much shot down. Sophtoph actually needs a third charge attack to secure the knockout, and a Shadow Ball is on its way.
No shield on the side of Soph, going to allow the Shadow Ball to come through. Galarian Stunfisk can handle it and now can comfortably get a bunch of energy. Has not just one, but two Rock Slides ready to go. The first going to knock out the Noctowl, and then having an abundance of energy here, going to be going for that Earthquake.
Oh, she wants even more than 2 Rock Slides, going straight for the Earthquake. This is a decision point for ItsFlippinCoop. Does he shield? And he does call the Earthquake. He survives this close rush with that ground type damage, but he's got Spark all the way down. It's a tall task. Galarian Stunfisk hangs in there and forces the Surf. My goodness.
So no shields left on the side of Soph. That is going to be it for the Galarian Stunfisk. That Frostlass had a little bit of energy, but the Avalanche isn't going to do anything. Frostlass, she is going to need a Shadow Ball and a little bit extra to be able to knock out the Lantern. No shielding a Surf. Preserving that shield for the next charge move.
Could have potentially been a Thunderbolt, but the Shadow Ball will connect here. Like you said, Defy, no Protect Shields remaining. Lantern is exposed, a fish out of water, and that does do a lot of damage, but the Surf is ready again. It's resisting the Powder Snows. He gets another shield. Does Coop have a chance here?
We will have to see. The Surf gets shielded. Can Frostlass?
Oh,
no. And that is going to be a problem for Frostlass. Frostlass is going to get swept away by this wave. Surf is going to be enough to knock it out. Winning for ItsFlippinCoop.
Wow, Lantern able to ride the waves out here in San Diego to a Game 2 victory. Frostlass not quite icy enough, but we still have one more game remaining. This is a best of 3. There is one more chance here for both of these trainers to advance.
There is. And I wanted to note, there was an earlier battle we casted where both trainers picked the same Pokemon. I think that might have been Soph's battle earlier, where she kept the same line of 3 both times, even kept the same in the Medicham in the lead both times. Now we're seeing a different strategy where she's really switching it up, bringing in the Lickitung, bringing in the Frostlass, putting the Noctowl and Medicham on the bench. We're seeing the same from Coop, bringing in the Noctowl, bringing in the Medicham, really only keeping that Lantern as consistency, and the Lantern is what got him to victory here.
That's a great call out. We did see ItsFlippinCoop trying to control switch advantage in game number 2. I believe he tried to do the same thing in game number 1. I think that's a consistent strategy. That's a note that Sophtoph has to make mentally, that her opponent likes to control switch. Maybe they have some weaknesses in the back. Maybe they rely a lot on switch advantage. How can she manipulate that to her own benefit? Will he try the same thing in game number 3? Or is he going to try for a shield advantage? Maybe an energy advantage? Is he going to play this one differently?
I think trying to maintain switch advantage is a very solid strategy. It will all depend on what Pokemon he brings in the lead and what Pokemon he thinks is safe enough. So if he loses the lead, he thinks it'll be able to win him back switch advantage. And it's tough. A lot of these Pokemon have very good consistent matchups. So it'll be tough to... I think it'll be pretty easy to win the lead. It might be hard to bring it back, have something that'll win hard enough to win enough to be able to turn switch advantage in his favor.
I agree. You look at Pokemon on the team that maybe with extra energy, they could win matchups that they technically shouldn't win. Maybe with an extra Ice Punch stored, a Medicham can beat a Trevenant. Maybe with an extra Psychic stored, it can take down an Alolan Ninetales. How many opportunities are there here for these trainers? I think the Frostlass obviously stands out for Sophtoph, but maybe the Trevenant Trevenant on ItsFlippinCoop side could have some play. Then again, we've seen a lot of Noctowl as well.
That is, the Trevenant is really, really going to be trying to avoid the Noctowl, really wants to find that Medicham, wants to find some of the other Pokemon on the team. We have one trainer locked in, the other carefully making their decisions on which Pokemon to bring into the field of battle.
Well, I don't suspect that we see the Lickitung. We saw this earlier in Dunebug's matchup against Munchlax 2000. Once that normal-type Pokemon gets scared off, once it encounters that first Medicham, it doesn't want to step back into the ring. It wants to stay on the bench. It wants to, sling the towel over its shoulder and watch its teammates take on the opponent. That being said, heading into game number 3 here, we have our leads on the field, and this is a Medicham into a Trevenant.
Yeah, this is great for the Trevenant. I imagine we're going to see an immediate swap away, and we see the Trevenant getting a little bit of energy comfortably, and then the Lantern comes in to counter the Galarian Stunfisk. But since this is a Spark Lantern, it's not the best counter.
We've seen, oh my goodness, sophtoph going straight for the hard-hitting charge attacks time and time again. She does the same thing there, opting for the Earthquake and a correct call by ItsFlippinCoop. But look at the switch advantage and how important it is in this matchup. I think sophtoph is really going to grit her teeth and try to fight through this in the 2 shields because she needs her Noctowl against ItsCoop's Trevenant, and she wants her Medicham against that unknown Pokemon in the back.
Here we have the Lantern throwing a Surf to threaten the Galarian Stunfisk. No shield allows the Galarian Stunfisk to go down into the red, and Coop has to realize that this has got to be an Earthquake. Does he put up a shield? No! The Lantern is knocked out at a very healthy Lantern knocked out. So FlippinCoop has to decide, which Pokemon do I want the energy on more? Brings on the Galarian Stunfisk, betting that perhaps can farm all the way down, makes a catch!
ItsFlippinCoop flipping out that Trevenant onto the field out of its Pokeball and catching an Earthquake from the Galarian Stunfisk. Great plays there to stay alive, but I think the damage is done. We saw that Lantern go down. Now we see the Noctowl squared up against the Trevenant. It's got nowhere to go. It's a lone tree in an open field.
And this Noctowl says absolutely no problem. Says, I'm going to win no matter what. I don't have to shield. There is nothing this Trevenant can do.
Seed Bomb coming through here. These little seeds are going to land on the ground below. Noctowl will happily shake it off. Look to wing attack all the way down through the Trevenant, and it does. ItsFlippinCoop running out of options. He's got his Galarian Stunfisk, and it's going to take a Shadow Ball, unless he shields, which he does.
So that shield protecting the Galarian Stunfisk. Galarian Stunfisk has a lot of work ahead of it. Not only does it have to take out this Noctowl, it has to get through 2 shields and a Medicham. This looks so good for Soph.
Galarian Stunfisk working uphill here, and judging by the size of its little flappers, it's going to have a hard time getting up there. Going to throw the Rock Slide against the Noctowl. This is not quite enough either. The bad news just keeps piling on here for ItsFlippinCoop.
Yeah, the Galarian Stunfisk just cannot seem to trap this bird. Noctowl saying, you know who's going to win? It's me.
Going for the Rock Slide here. We'll finally get the knockout onto that Noctowl, but sophtoph has a fighter in the back. Ding, ding, ding. Out comes a Medicham. Gonna look to counter down this Galarian Stunfisk, and it still has 2, count them, 2 Protect Shields remaining.
Soph could have potentially tried to not use a single Protect Shield, but decides to play it safe, uses a Protect Shield here, and is going to end the battle with an Ice Punch, taking out the Galarian Stunfisk here. So that will be a 2-1 victory for Soph, continuing on in the Group C winners bracket.
I just got to say, ItsFlippinCoop, again, fighting for switch advantage there, but not willing to invest that second shield into the Lantern, not willing to apply all of his resources in that secondary matchup, and I think that is really pivotal as well because, again, once that Noctowl finds a Trevenant, it's so one-sided, it can really dictate the rest of the match. Very, very tough sledding for ItsFlippinCoop. Both of these trainers, very well known in the community, very talented creators, and I don't think we've seen the last of ItsFlippinCoop.
I don't think so either. One other call out. I love how trainers immediately, they shake hands, they fist bump. I love to see the sportsmanship here in Pokemon Go. These 2 very popular content creators in the community, really excited to battle each other and always keeping it friendly.